How's everybody doing today? Alright, today I'm working on my 98 Honda Accord LX 4-cylinder 5-speed VTEC. Yeah. But what I have to do today, I've got a lot of problems with this car. Not Honda, not against Honda, just against idiots, but alright. First of all, what I'm actually doing today is CV axles on this car. So as you can see, I've got everything all torn apart. The tie rod ending is loose. Got this all taken apart. Got a hole in the dust shield. And as I'm taking this axle apart, I'm doing brakes. Which I hate that situation when you have everything apart and you realize, oh hey, I still got a little bit more life on those. But the other side was grinding, and so might as well just do them both, make sure they're done right. But a lot of stuff I find when I do one thing makes me angry for the next thing. But anyways, alright, so basically what you gotta do if you're gonna do a CV axle and your Accord, or CV axle in general, a lot of these rules transfer, but you have to, first of all, what you got to do is, alright, what you got to do when you have everything hooked up here, the brakes are all back on and everything, take off the wheel, obviously. Then what you got to do is you got to loosen up the bolt that actually holds the CV axle in. There's many ways you can do this. You see the rim over here, a lot of people do it this way. With the rim on, bolted down, you're going to have to take your hubcap off and run the nuts back on. You'll see the hole in the middle. Mine, I do believe, is a 34 millimeter. Usually with Hondas, it's either 34 or 32 millimeter, and you can do the rent-a-tool program from AutoZone or loan-a-tool, whatever. And what you do is you pay them for the part, and they reimburse you when you bring the tool back. So, well, the tool, not the part. But anyways, you'll have this right open here, and you just take if you don't have impact tools, which I do have impact tools, but lovely me, I got the hose with the wrong end on it, and I didn't really feel like taking the time to go up to Lowe's, and I could do it by hand, which I prefer most of the time anyways. It's more fun that way, you feel more macho. But you take your handy dandy 1/2-inch breaker bar. With me, I had a 3/4 drive socket. So I work at a diesel shop, if you don't know, but I got this adapter from my friend. It's 1/2-inch to 3/4. This is an awesome adapter. If anybody knows where you can buy these, let me know. So you can't find them, and I can't find them anymore. But I mean, it's frickin' square. You're just taking out the distance from a 1/2-inch to a 3/4. And it's got a magnet on it to keep it on there. But his is cracking. You can't see, but his is cracking. But, yep. And then all you do is you take that socket. They sell them in 1/2-inch, by the way, 1/2-inch drive. And you take that socket, and you can, with the wheel on, just pop it off like that. Or what I did was I took a flathead screwdriver, like so, and there's always going to be a hole in the middle of the caliper up in here. This little hole in there that when it's on, you can actually stick the screwdriver through the caliper into one of these fins and run it down in there. You can tap it in with the hammer, because once you get it loose, well, be careful. I mean, you don't want to force it in. I mean, you have to be able to see it. But you can get it in there, tapping with a hammer. It'll come back out pretty easy, usually. Unless you have captive rotors or something like that, then maybe not. I don't know, I don't have captive rotors. But, anyways, you do that, and then you break it loose. There's that step. After that, you take the nut that came off the end, you just run it down. Actually, this doesn't matter, just stick it on there. This will flex, this stuff right here, and if you run it down, you're basically running it till it's snug. But you just run this down enough and tap it out with a hammer. Once you break it loose, it's usually you can pull it out the rest of the way. If not, you just keep on loosening the nut and tapping it in. I had to do that. But all you do is you tap that out, and you take the tie rod ending off so it can swing back and forth. If you're lucky, you can maneuver that axle enough to get it out. I was not lucky. I had to take the top off from right there. It went in like that. So when you take that off, I was able to turn it out enough and wiggle it out to get it out. And then that's pretty easy. Overall, this is just removing stuff and putting it back on, which is the awesome parts of being a mechanic. You don't have to diagnose or think things through. But this has what I call an intermediate shaft. I don't actually know what it's called. Probably has a better name than that. But it's where from the transmission, sorry, I have to get to it. There's a straight shaft right there that you can see that goes actually into the transmission. Well, the CV axle goes to the end of that shaft. I call it the intermediate shaft. Probably got a better name. But there will be a little crease in between here in the CV axle. There's a seal there. Interesting. The CV axle, and all you do is you stick a pry bar right in that little crease, pop it open, then you can wiggle it out the rest of the way. You don't really need to, usually you don't need to wiggle it or move it to get it where it, like, there's a ring on the end that people think will fall off. Typically it won't fall off. So we have that. I have multiple leaks. I think another problem with this car is I have a hole in my oil pan. Thought it was an oil pan gasket. Don't think it's that. Thought it was a rear main seal. I haven't investigated that yet, but it leaks a substantial amount of oil. But I imagine it always holds 3 quarts. Yes, it always holds 3 quarts, so not leak past that. So what I think is, since the sump is in the bottom of this pan, it will always suck up oil and usually be fine. But if the oil gets up top here, it leaks. So, sad day. But then my power steering rack and pinion leaks pretty good. You can see the red fluid everywhere. Don't think my transmission leaks. Not yet. I'm waiting for that. It's only got like 35,000 miles on it, but I feel like they put the old seals back on. I found that a lot of the repairs done on this car have been done wrong. It's just one of the things that you stumble upon when you get into it. For example, you can see the CV axle on the other side. I thought I heard it click earlier today, so maybe I got lucky and I have to replace that one too. Wouldn't that be awesome? I would just love that so much. But as you can see, last person, instead of having the metal ties, that's got a zip tie on it. But cool thing about a zip tie, oh my gosh, you can peel it back and you can actually get suction, and look. Focus, phone, focus. There we go. You can see that nasty dirt that has gotten in there, and it's probably eating away at the CV axle. So I'll see you after this one, because this is the one that's clicking so bad that I can hear it over my radio, humming and rattling over my radio going down the road. So if I hear it clicking too, I'm probably going to have to replace that one. But thank goodness this isn't too terrible. But one other thing that absolutely sucks, I'm going to get out from under here, but that sucked when taking off all these nuts for these parts. A lot of them have cotter pins, and it's nice when you can get those cotter pins out. All you do is you have to pinch the other side in, or pinch the... I got a cotter pin laying around here somewhere. Right here. When you have a cotter pin, all you have to do is pinch those 2 ends together, and it's supposed to slip out. You can punch it out with a punch, or get some dikes, wire cutters, whatever, and inch it away out. Well, for me, whatever side I took it from, it's been so rusted and not used for so long that they sheared right off. So yay me! But some tools you will need for this job. Basically, you have to be really careful with this. If you overflex this axle, like literally, I can overflex this one because this one's junk. But if you bring it all the way to where it stops, when you're putting a new one in, you can do some serious damage down the line to where they won't be covered by warranty, and I guess they can check. Cool. So, but as you can see, what was wrong with mine is has a split boot. So, also again, if you ever have any questions, you can ask me or go to Eric the Car Guy's website. He usually does a better job than I do. But I finally got my garage cleaned up to where I can get a car in. So that's nice. Doing brakes as usual. Brakes jobs are easy. It's unbolting stuff, putting new stuff in. Always get the hardware. And another thing that's overlooked, look up your torque specs for the wheel. Because even when you run it in with an impact, if you have an impact, or if you just stand on the frickin' breaker bar until it starts to bow, or you can do a Lona tool program. I got a torque wrench in there, but my hands are gross. And get it, find the torque specs in your book for the lugs. Mine happens to be 80 pounds, which seems to be a very common number. But yeah. And also, when you get the new axle, come on. Here's a new axle. Comes with installation, removal, and installation stuff. But as you can see, it's got the metal bands on it, not zip ties, which is how you know other people have done stuff. Like, they might have replaced that boot. I don't know. Or they just got a generic piece of crap axle. I bought mine from AutoZone. Comes with a new ring. Literally, all you do when you put it back in, you get the threads lined up enough that they start to want to go in. And then once you get it in a little bit, which takes some muscle, you take a rubber mallet or brass something that won't damage your axle. You can tap it in from here. And you want to be careful if you do it up here, but you can do it there if you're using. It has to be softer than metal. Brass hammers, plastic hammers, rubber mallets, something like that. Not another steel hammer or cast iron. Yeah. So basically, once you get that side in, you can flex this, not too terribly much, but when you flex it, you can flex it around whatever part you need to get it back in the threads on the outside. And once you have that done, you put everything back together. So far, with me being lazy and taking extra time and trying to think of easier ways to do things, it's taken me about 3 hours just to get it out. So, playing a good Saturday. I mean, now that I know what I'm doing, it's a lot easier going back in. It's one of those deals. But just playing everything out. But should be easy. Should have good luck. If you have any questions, ask me. Alright, take care.